Hey everyone, Morgan here. So I've had a ton of requests about making a video that talks about preps for a vehicle, especially with all of the protests going on and the wildfires. People really want to know, kind of what kind of things they need to have in their vehicle. We spend a ton of time in our vehicle, not us specifically, but just as humans. If you have a vehicle, you generally spend quite a bit of time in your vehicle. Or at least we did before COVID, I guess. When more people had jobs, they were going to and from their job. They were going, to and from the grocery store, to and from daycares, to and from friends' houses, restaurants, whatever. A lot of people spend a lot of time in their vehicles. And especially us, when we have to go into town, it's usually like an hour or more to get to places that we need to go. So we really do rely on our vehicle, especially for those long trips. So I want to show you a few things that we have in our vehicle, as well as just generally talk about what you may want to have, especially for changing of the seasons and things like that. All right, so you have to forgive me. We do spend a lot of time in our vehicle, as in, when we go somewhere, we're always like kind of packed full. But we do keep quite a bit of stuff in here. So first of all, we always have a bunch of water in our vehicle, and a lot of people think that it's bad to carry water in your vehicle because of the sun and the heat. Well, first of all, water that gets warm isn't going to go bad. I've had water in the car for several months from the summer, and then I go to drink it, and it's perfectly fine. Now, the way that you want to do this is that you always hide it either under the seats or you hide it under the blankets. You want to prevent that direct sunlight onto the water, okay? The direct sunlight over time, not even immediately, but over time, might produce some fungus and some other things inside of the plastic bottle. So keep that direct sunlight off completely by putting a blanket over it and or putting it underneath your seats, or just basically keep it hidden any way that you can, any way that you see fit, right? So storing water in your vehicle, highly recommended. We have at least 4 gallons in our vehicle at all time. First aid kit, extremely important. You need a first aid kit in your vehicle. I'm actually going to do a review about this specific first aid kit. We actually have another first aid kit here that we've been using for years, but this first aid kit I'll be doing a review of. But you need to have a first aid kit, and you need to know how to use all the items in your first aid kit. I can't tell you how many times that we've used our first aid kit for a variety of reasons, usually for our kids, and it might be just a band-aid or whatever, but it doesn't matter. The fact is, you're self-reliant. You can take care of your own boo-boos, right? We always have extra hats in our vehicle, as well as additional clothing. So I always have extra clothing for us as well as our children in the vehicle at all times, as well as extra hats. And then when it turns into cooler weather, it'll be warmer hats, things like that. But also, here in, very sunny area, we do have these hats as well. Like we'll put a beanie on and then this over to still protect us from the sun. I don't know if you can see this, but that's toilet paper. Always have toilet paper. We always have toilet paper, and then a couple rolls of paper towels. Both have come in handy exceedingly. We also have a ton of napkins. Like whenever we go out to eat or something, we always ask for extra napkins, and then we just store the napkins up front. Always very helpful. Another thing that you want to have on hand is a multi-tool. And I would suggest the ones with the pliers. All right, outside of that, I definitely highly suggest that you have some sort of get home, everyday carry bag, something like that. This is something that I have with me at all times in the vehicle. Sometimes I take it out with me, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I do, and I'll take it out with me. But I always have a get home / everyday carry bag with you, so that if you ever need to abandon the vehicle for whatever reason, you have things in here that you can simply just grab and go. It's not, okay, well, I gotta, scramble to get all this stuff together that's in my vehicle so that I can then carry it in my arms, as I escape or something, okay? This is gonna help you when it comes to, having to get away from a bad situation, okay? So always have that get home, everyday carry bag in your vehicle. And, like I said, you can take it in and out if you want to. It's totally up to you. So this is a tool bag. You always want some sort of tool bag in your vehicle, again, just for basic repairs, for you know, in fact, just yesterday, we were out and my husband had to do a small repair on the Jeep, and it was so quick and simple because he had the tools necessary that he needs. That's why it's still open. But he had the tools necessary that he needed with him in the Jeep to do it himself. And you know, it's not like we were stranded on the side of the road. He just did it himself. He didn't need anyone else, okay? But also, you know, you want tools and things that are going to be specific to your vehicle. You know, our tools may not be what you need for your vehicle. Go to a dealership or talk to your manufacturer or whatever and ask them, hey, what type of emergency tools would be best for my vehicle? And then what would those emergency tools actually be used for? You know what I mean? One of the biggest things that you need in your vehicle is something to fix tires. So you'll need your spare tire, jack, and then sometimes there's a tire plug. There's actually like a tire plug kits that you can buy that you can just quickly plug a hole until you can get somewhere to actually fix the tire, like professionally or, you know, officially or whatever. So, you know, get something like that, like some sort of emergency tire plug system. Again, you know, actually know how to take off a tire. You need to know you know, the tools and everything, and actually the process on how to take off a tire and change a tire. It's very simple. You just need to know how to do it. It's very important. So kitty litter is also something that's very important. It helps to soak up oils. It's also helpful for winter time in case you ever get stuck. It helps to, you know, put around your tire so that it kind of creates that tension a little bit so you can get some traction. For my kids, I actually have this mat that we've changed Baby Rogue on several times. It's come in handy so many times. In addition to a mat for a child, you may want to consider actually storing, you know, like emergency sleeping bags in here, just in case you ever have to sleep in your vehicle or around your vehicle or anything like that. But emergency sleeping gear is also a good idea. You know, sleeping in your vehicle, definitely a viable option if you're ready. In addition to that, you know, in addition to like sleeping bags, you want blankets, lots of blankets, always helpful for even just laying down and laying on the blanket, something like that. If you want to have an impromptu picnic, right? But of course, that's also what shamags are for. We have like a bazillion shamags in here. And again, I can't tell you how many times we've used the shamags from our vehicle. Always very handy. Okay, now when it comes to food in your vehicle, there's a couple different options you could do. First of all, mountain houses are really good. Stuff like this you can just eat, you know, like they're ice cream sandwiches. You don't really need to rehydrate, but you will need a significant amount of water, you know, so that you don't dehydrate yourself. Now, at the same time, you know, if you have like an actual mountain house meal, this is the example that I pulled out just now, but if you have an actual mountain house meal, you can eat the freeze-dried food just as it is, but again, you're going to need water with it, you know, so that you don't dehydrate yourself. Now, you know, but you'll also need water if you want to actually cook it, you know, but you don't need hot water. Just straight cold or room temperature water will rehydrate it as well. But again, it's that extra water using towards that. You could also just do like a bunch of snacks, like especially in your get home bag. You could have just a bunch of like protein bars, ready to eat snacks, you know, those tuna packets, anything that doesn't take extra water that you can just eat and go. Of course, you always want to drink water whenever you eat, but these are easy options in which you don't have to do any processing, no cooking, nothing like that. But, you know, a mountain house or two may not be a bad idea, but you also want those ready-to-eat items for you and your family, so that, you know, it's just a quick, hey, here, have a bar, you know, it's not, okay, well, we got to sit down somewhere, you know, and pour this and then eat this, you know, it's not a whole process. You know, you just have those foods that are ready to eat without any processing needed. We always keep little things in our vehicle like sunscreen and bug spray and stuff like that. A couple other things you may want to consider for inside your vehicle would be things like a flashlight, a fire extinguisher, some baby wipes, trash bags, and or Ziplocs. Ziplocs are really good for, you know, carrying water or wild edibles or trash. But trash bags have a lot of use as well. You may also want to consider some sort of bag to hold like dirty clothes or diapers or something like that, that is more breathable, something like this. I really like these. It has a drawstring, stuff like that. Utensils, and like an inverter to charge either multiple things or higher power things. And of course, a physical map. Physical maps are super important of your local area. And then you could also have another map like an atlas or something just for your state, something like that. But maps are absolutely essential, and a compass to go along with that if you're ever going to leave your vehicle. But there's a whole bunch of things that are in my get home bag that are in addition to some stuff that we have in the vehicle or are just in the get home bag. But that's a whole nother story. There's a lot of extra things in there that may not necessarily be in the vehicle kind of thing, but can always have access to it because the get home bag is in the vehicle. You may also want to consider some sort of lockbox in your vehicle. In case you do keep a lot of stuff in your vehicle, like a lot of people keep their bug out bags in their vehicle, you may want to consider like some sort of lockbox in the back, or a smaller lockbox maybe for like under your seats or something like that, that can hold small things at a time, maybe a firearm or other precious items that you don't want to get stolen or that you don't want people to see, things like that. So you can lock that up and keep it secure. One other thing that I really want to mention is, in addition to a multi-tool, you really want a glass breaker. Glass breakers are extremely important for the vehicle, to break the glass, and also a seatbelt cutter. It should be a combo of a glass breaker and seatbelt cutter. Again, have those places in a easily accessible place. Have it in the visor. Have it, actually connected to your seatbelt. That has a quick disconnect. Have it connected to your keys, but again, have it like a quick disconnect or something like that, in which you can very easily and quickly, get it and access it. You could also have it just in your pockets. I have a pen that's a glass breaker that I just, can easily take from my pocket and use at will. Knives are, of course, always handy, and along with knives, paracord. I can't tell you how many times we have wanted paracord. We say, do we have any paracord? Yes, we have paracord because we have it. We have our Jeep stocked, right? It's just those little things every once in a while that you may need, you may need paracord to fashion some improvisational shelter. You just don't know, so have these things handy. Being prepared really does pay off. Of course, always have your self-defense items. I would always suggest having them on your person, but if there is some way to store them safely in your vehicle, certainly do that safely and securely. One last thing, as far as kids go, I do have still a smaller child, so I don't always carry this carrier, but I have a front carrier that I have. It helps me out a lot. If you also want to carry a stroller or something like that, sometimes they have those small compact ones that you just fold down. They're not like off-road or anything like that, but they're the small compact ones that they can fit nicely in the back of a vehicle or some kind of carrier or something like that. I like the carrier because it still gives me access to hands-free, right? But lots of people like strollers and that kind of thing. So if you do have smaller children, a stroller or some kind of carrier might also be a really good idea to have handy in the vehicle. The last thing I want to mention is having some sort of communication option in your vehicle outside of your cell phone. And of course, with your cell phone in the vehicle, you want to have charging devices and stuff in your vehicle. But I also want you to consider those alternative communication options, whether it's CB or GMRS or ham or whatever alternative communication option that you choose is going to be best for you. Have a communication option in the vehicle itself, attached inside the vehicle, as well as having handheld radios that you can take with you as you leave. Okay, so having those alternative communication options is going to be extremely important, especially if you have to ever ditch your vehicle, or if you're in your vehicle, for NOAA weather radio, reaching out to people, whatever the case may be. Having those alternative options inside the vehicle, as well as the mobile options, pretty important. So those are my tips and advice. I would love to hear any other suggestions that you have. I'm sure I've missed some stuff. Of course, when it comes to seasonal, winter stuff, always have winter appropriate gear, summer appropriate gear, like for us, the extra water and sunscreen and all that, bug spray, whatever. And then, so seasonal appropriate stuff in there as well. And then, when your kids are growing, always be changing out the clothing for them. And then, of course, the snacks that they like, because that always changes as well. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, leave your comments down below. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.